It's so good to see you, Jerry.
It's good.
You have
back at Crossroads.
We've seen you on the intros and we've seen you on the David Jeremiah interviews, but you've been on the road and we've talked several times, seen each other a couple times. But while you were on the road, we were thinking about you because of the telethon series that we did with David Jeremiah's book on fear. And you really, I mean, if you think about, and we start sharing in a few minutes here in this segment, where you've been and what you're doing. You saw some, talk about fear, you saw some pretty frightening things while you were out on the road.
John, indeed we did. We were conducting a documentary profiling the teenage killers that are shooting up our schools from Newtown to Columbine. In fact, Columbine Revisited.
The real game changer that is a part of this documentary, maybe the launch or a tip point in contemporary history, was Columbine. You have been following that situation as a pastor. You followed as a commentator and a communicator. Take us back there for a minute. Then we've got a clip we want to take a look at of some doc work that you've done related to Columbine.
Well, one of my real problems was that Sue Harris, Eric Harris's mother, gave an interview to O Magazine and basically said, you know, years later, I'm sorry. But I say, as a parent, would you notice if your child was stockpiling ammunition in the basement? Would you notice if there are basement diary videos saying, I'm going to blow up everybody, an actual 40 different bombs? So we interviewed Craig Scott. This young man was in the library next to Cassia Bernal. His sister Rachel was right outside in the schoolyard. Eric picked her up by the head, called her a godly whore, shot her at close range. And Craig survived by playing dead. And then a voice spoke to him and said, get up and run. Of course, that was the Lord. We went back and revisited Columbine and the memorial and many of the other aspects of this incredible story.
Well, let's take a look.
We heard these poppy noises coming from outside. And we thought it was some fireworks. We thought some seniors were pulling a prank. It was near the end of the school year.
We heard a couple of explosions, like really loud explosions, and a couple of popping sounds. Dave Sanders, who at the time was a teacher and coach, ran into the cafeteria and he yelled at everyone. He said, hey, you know, someone has a gun outside. Everyone get under your tables.
And the poppy noises started to get louder and louder, and then they came into the school. And once they entered, I knew it wasn't a joke. They were immediately shooting off their guns.
There's a hesitation in the crowd, and then all of a sudden the entire cafeteria just starts evacuating. And everyone's sort of pushing chairs and tables and stuff out of the way and scrambling. People are leaving shoes and backpacks behind.
The shooters then came over to where I was, and they saw my friend Isaiah, and they tried to drag him out from underneath the table. And Isaiah was trying to back up, and they mocked him, and then they finally shot him, and they shot Matt. And they left me underneath that table. And I thought that I was going to be next. I was feeling so much fear, I thought my heart was going to stop beating. And the only thing I didn't know to do was to pray. And I felt like I heard God speak to me and tell me, get out of there. And I still wasn't sure if they were in the room, but I listened to that voice, and I was the first student to stand up. I looked around, saw they were gone, and I yelled at everyone. I said, come on, let's get out of here, I think they're gone. I helped pick up a girl who had been shot. She'd had her shoulder blown off. And a group of us ran out of an emergency exit. We ran outside, and there was a police car outside. We all ran behind that police car, and as soon as we got behind the police car, the shooters came back to the library. And so we got out of there just in time.
My, so compelling and so very concerning. That documentary really reflects a direction that we're taking here at Crossroads. And just challenge our folks very briefly but compellingly how important it is to support the ministry so that we can continue to message these kinds of documentaries that are cutting edge and touching lives.
Crossroads has distinguished itself because all over North America, evangelicals, people of faith, and then trusted leaders at the CDC or wherever are looking to Crossroads. So we were at a maximum security prison. They said 10 interviews a week from CNN on down. We only let your crew in. Why? Because I think these documentaries are addressing the crucial issues, and it takes financial support. I mean, these take a lot of effort. They take a lot of resources to do. The dedicated crew of Crossroads, I mean, men and women that work tirelessly and city after city. I mean, it's not a solo deal. And so I think that when this plays, it will go literally all over the world. It'll go to thousands of schools, and it's going to prevent Adam Lanzas from killing little elementary school kids.
And the higher and better the quality of the content and the pictures that you see and the flow of that gives us access to more and more audiences allows us to talk about life from a biblical worldview.
That's right.
And we're profoundly grateful. You know, last week we offered this wonderful book by Dr. David Jeremiah. It's called What Are You Afraid Of? And so many of you responded, and we are so very, very grateful that you have. There is a pledge line number. We want to keep those lines open this week, and if you haven't had an opportunity to participate, if you really can passionately get behind us and help us financially, we'd love to send you this book. Call 1-888-288-0003. That's 1-888-288-0003.